Good afternoon, everyone. We had kind of an abrupt start this morning because I started a little late. We have a fairly light landlord-tenant docket and some general civil motions and one small claims and a late afternoon sentence. So, hello, everyone. Let this run for just a minute. Well, it looks like everyone is here. Let's bring them all in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fleeman. Ms. Sanders, can you hear me? Ms. James, can you hear me? Shamika, can you hear me? She says she's in the background. Mr. and Mrs. James, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Well, okay.
I can hear you.
I've got Shannon James, and I think that's Mr. Stevens with her. And Ms. Sanders is, there she is. Ms. Sanders, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm waiting for the other folks to get their sound connected so we can start. They're working on it. Now they're gone. I'd go ahead and start, but I figure if I get both people connected, I can go through the advice of rights just one time.
Makes good sense.
How are you doing with the new rules? I've been talking with other counsel and they said people are sort of bumping along.
Yeah, that's a good assessment of it. We've been kind of, figuring out how to handle it, and for us, it's just kind of part of the whole mix of the courts that are going to my file, like 20 or 30
You can't
courts
hear
are
me?
now my file courts.
Well, I haven't gone on the record yet.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure, because I could tell
All
people
right.
were talking.
Yes, I can hear everybody else. Miss James, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, is Mr. Stevens with you?
Yeah, he's right here.
All right, Tyrone, we'll get back to that thought because I'm interested in how other people are doing. We have several landlord-tenant cases today. Each of the plaintiffs are represented by the Bradshaw Law Firm. The esteemed Tyrone Fleeman is here with us today. Our first two cases are Fawn River Apartments versus Jonathan Stevens and Shannon James. The file number is 231456LT. Our next case is St. Joe River Apartments versus Shamika Sanders and Travis Hanley and Sir Christopher Gee. We'll address that one in a minute. Ms. Sanders, is
Yes.
Mr. Hanley or Mr. Gee there?
No.
Do they still live there?
Yes.
Where are they today?
Work.
All right, we'll get to that then. All right, for the parties that are here. Now, here's our next person. Oh, I'll get our other defendant, Jada Keltz, and go through our advice of rights all at once. We just lost a few minutes. Another day, another ceiling fan. Ms. Keltz, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. This is Judge Middleton. I've got all of my first three defendants here. I'm going to tell you all at once that this is Judge Middleton. I'm here at the courthouse and you're here on a landlord-tenant case. Some are termination of tenancy or some are non-payment of rent. When the new mailings come out, you're going to get this in the mail, but I'm not sure it's come with it yet. So let me tell you your rights as a defendant in a landlord-tenant proceeding. You have the right to hire an attorney. If you cannot pay for one, the court must provide information about legal aid. And generally, legal aid is here as an advisory capacity. We've already sent you the information about Western Michigan legal aid. You have a right to have the case heard where the property is, and that's not an issue in any of these three cases. You have a right to demand a jury trial. If you want a jury trial, you must tell the court at your first court appearance or make the demand in writing within 5 days of the court explaining this right to you, which is today. You can use the form Michigan Court Form 22 jury demand and file it with the court. You must pay a $50 fee when you make the demand or within 5 days of today. And if the judge grants you a fee waiver, you may be excused from paying the fee. If your landlord has asked you to be evicted from residential property because you haven't yet paid rent, you may be able to get assistance from the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services, a local coordinated agency in our county, that's Neighborhood Inc., or Federal Help for Homeless Veterans Program or other program. You do not need a judgment against you to receive that help. The copies of the summons and complaint are sufficient. If both parties are interested in trying to settle the matter by mediation, we can refer the matter to the Citizens Mediation Inc., a local mediation center for our county. And if both parties are interested, the court can set that up. You may be able to reach an agreement with the landlord that would mean the case could be dismissed. That's called a conditional dismissal. The court must provide you with that form if you get to that point, or tell you where you can find it online. And the Bradshaw firm does a lot of conditional dismissals on behalf of their tenants. Well, let's start with our first case. Shannon James and Jonathan Stevens. Who's the manager in this unit?
I am.
That would be Lynn. They are asking to terminate your tenancy for multiple reasons. The electricity keeps going back into their name. They allege you have unauthorized residence in the premises and other disturbances in the parking lot. So they're asking you to move for material violations of the lease. Is that correct, Mr. Fleeman?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Ms. James, what's your position?
I only know that, that yes, our electric did go in Fawn River's name, but twice we didn't know about it at first. And then, when we did know about it, we were trying to get a hold of Lynn. And so we were, and we never did get a hold of her. We don't know how much we owe, or we would have taken care of that. The disturbance in the parking lot, I did not know that right away either. That was with my cousin and her boyfriend. They're no longer allowed on the property, and they haven't been since then. We do not have any extra people living with us. And so I'm not sure what that's all about either.
There's also an allegation about a dog, among other things.
Yes, I did have a dog here, but she has passed on. So
All right, well, there are multiple violations alleged regarding your lease, so they want you to move. The law requires that I adjourn this matter at least 7 days to allow you to get assistance from legal aid or other attorney. So it sounds like your electricity's gone back a couple times. You did have a dog in violation of the lease. You did have tenants in violation of the lease. They all may be gone, but now let me tell you that if you are evicted from this, and this is a subsidized unit, you may be prohibited from renting any other subsidized housing, which is why we sometimes have a conditional order of dismissal. The tenants agree to move voluntarily by a certain date.
right.
Right now,
Okay.
I'm going to continue this matter to next Friday.
The
next
thing about the
week.
dog is we were allowed to have my dog here.
All right,
So I
Well-
don't know why we were in violation of that. The electricity, had we known that it was in Fawn River's name, we would have taken care of that, and we've been trying to take care of that.
well, it got put in their name because you didn't pay it.
Right, and we made a agreement with City of Sturgis, so and then we were paying them, and then for some reason it went into Fawn River's name, but we weren't told.
All right.
Judge, you said you're looking to put this out till next Monday.
No, I misspoke, Tyrone.
Okay. Yeah, what day are you looking at?
Next Monday, November 27th.
That is a horrible day for John and I both. We're scheduled in a bunch of different courts. And would you be scheduling this for a trial? Is that what you're doing?
No, this is just the first hearing. Although it sounds like it may need one, but let's see. No, I'm just going to set it for a second hearing. All
May
right,
I
well, let's
speak,
see what else
Judge
we've got
Middleton?
available.
What time would you be looking for on the 27th, Judge, just in case I can make it?
Well,
work?
you're gonna have 3 cases, so
Right.
I don't want to make it so you can't do it. So that would take us to, if you're not available on the 27th, how are you on December 1st? My
Very-
wife asked me today, can you get out of work early on December 1st? We have to go to Chicago. But how are you for 1:45 on December 1st?
I'd be great. That'll work. That'll work just fine. And I can do it earlier on the 1st as well if you want to.
I have a first of the month criminal cases in the morning that day. So, all right, now,
1:45?
Ms.
12,
Stevens
1,
and Mr. Jones, I'm gonna continue this matter to Friday, that's just 10 days, December 1st at 1:45,
December.
December 1st.
I'm sorry,
Now-
what time?
1:45. If they get what they ask for, you would be compelled to move by December 10th. Now, Mr. Fleeman alluded to this. We may need to have a trial on this where
Right.
they would provide testimony regarding each of the alleged violations of your lease.
Right.
And they're in the notice. I don't even know if I went through all of them.
Well, could I speak, Your Honor?
Yes?
Okay, she did not have us sign a new lease for last year, but we just signed a new lease today for next year.
All right.
So that I'm a little confused on.
Well, and Judge, I can speak to this. When you're in subsidized property, the regulation requires that the management redo your certification and renewal of your lease every year, even if you're in the middle of terminating it. Even if
Right,
they're in the
but
middle of
she
terminating
didn't have us sign a new lease for last year, but now we signed one for next year.
Ms. Sanders, you can mute your phone. You
I
can
did.
hit
I did. I'm
star
sorry.
6. Okay. I mean, you can mute it so that nobody can hear you, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
And Ms. James, the fact that you didn't do a lease last year, I'm not sure why that happened. Not sure it's relevant. Theoretically, you're supposed to do one every year, so that's why they would have done one now, even though they were in the process of doing the eviction. They
Right.
would still have to, by regulation, go through the motions of doing that, because there's a chance the judge might say you get to stay. And so that would be the case. While I'm talking to you, do you have a number that I can reach you at if I want to reach out to you?
Yep, 269.
Judge, let me.
I don't want to put it over the,
Right, that's what I thought. Can you chat it to me? Can you access the chat function?
probably not. Let's see if I've got it.
Okay. Oh, you know what? You don't see the chat function either.
Lynn, do you have it?
Yes and no, if it's up to date.
Well, give me the last 4 numbers of it.
Is it hanging back up? Nine, 761.
Is that correct, Shannon?
9612.
It
Nope.
changes all the time.
So no, we do not have current information.
All right, well, let me put Shannon and Lynn in a breakout room and you can provide the phone number to her. And then you guys
I
can,
did last time we were there.
well, whatever she's got is not current.
And I will say, if Ms. James wants to wait in the breakout room until I'm done with my other cases, I can come in and we can have a discussion about some potential resolutions or ways we can resolve this case.
That's probably fine. Let me put you both in the breakout room and get the number, and Mr. Fleeman will join you in a bit.
Okay.
And Lynn, I think I have the right number for Deer Creek, right? Yeah, I've already got a ledger on that. So.
All right, let's go to our next case. Shannon, hit the button that says join. The next case is similar but different complex. St. Joe River Apartments versus Shamika Sanders, Tallis Hanley, and Sir Christopher Gee. The only one here is Miss Sanders. This is also a termination of tenancy case. Among other things, they allege that you're smoking marijuana in the premises and a number of other alleged allegations. And so they want you all to move. Now, is everyone still there? All the other tenants are still there?
Yes.
What's your position?
As of right now, my position is, I am still here currently. Far as extremely marijuana smoke, I stay in a complex where it's people that comes into our laundry room. Like just yesterday, me and my family was at church and came home to a whole cloud in the whole building. Like soon we opened up the door, the people was running from out the laundry room with nothing but marijuana smoke in the building. So that I do not feel is currently my fault. I don't have anything to do with that particular part. As far as they saying it's coming straight from out of my home, again, I live in a complex where people come in and out this building all the time. The other allegations, as far as I know, you said extremely marijuana smoke, but that's the only thing that I'm aware of right now. My rent is currently up, but I do have a appointment set with legal aid for 9 o'clock on the 27th of this month.
All right.
Did you say the 27th?
Yes.
All right, now.
And Judge, the main part of this, just so we know, it looks like to me the main thrust of this is continual delinquency.
Yes,
Which
there are multiple continual delinquency notices.
And Ms. Sanders, I will explain to you something that I normally explain to people, and this is that in the subsidized housing, they have general rules about what you can terminate for and what you can't. Normally, it makes vague reference to material violation or material noncompliance with lease, but they specifically enumerate continual delinquency. It's one of the only things that they actually spell out in the federal regulations for rural development, which is the subsidy agency for your property, is continual delinquency. And the agencies go around and they review files of people. And if they find that management doesn't take action on a continual delinquency case like yours, they get marked down and can even potentially lose their subsidy over that sort of thing. The government takes it that seriously that they actually spelled it out. So at this point, I don't think your landlord has much of a choice but to go forward on this. I don't know if you've got any thoughts or had any thoughts about moving, but that's kind of where the management is in a rock and a hard place on this.
Okay, can you explain that a little bit better to me? Or what is that delinquency? What is that?
Not paying your rent.
Well, let me weigh in here. They sent you a notice that your rent was late in October of 2022, in December of 2022, in April of 2023, in May of 2023, in July of 2023, in August of 2023. And so they allege that you were continually late on your rent. And that's what the delinquency means, that your rent is late or behind. Now you say it's current presently, so that's helpful. You have an appointment with legal aid, so you're ahead of the game, and I do appreciate that. Now let's talk about your other two co-defendants. It's good that they're at work, but if they don't show up for subsequent hearings, they could get defaulted. So they need to get in the game, or they
I'll
could
take
be
full
there.
responsibility for that, sir, because I did not know for a fact that they had to be there here. I had told them to go ahead and do what they had to do by me being head of household. So I would take full responsibility of them not being here
Well,
right now.
we're okay for today. Now, who are they to you?
They are my sons.
All right, now I thought someone else was in there, Teatra Smith or someone else. Is there another tenant?
No, it's only us three, sir.
All right, no, she's the manager. All right. I know both boys. I just had Talus here on something a bit ago. So
Yeah.
it's good they're at work, but they need to participate in the next hearing.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna continue this to December 1. I set the last one for 1:45. I'm gonna set this for 1:50. Both these are gonna take longer than 5 minutes, but my wife wants me to try to get out early. I'm not sure that's gonna happen that day. But Mr. Fleeman will be scheduled to be here anyway. So when you consult with legal aid, they know how to get a hold of Mr. Fleeman and your manager. And we will address it further on December 1st. That's a Friday at 1:50. That works out well because it's after your appointment. Do you have any questions?
No.
All right, I'll see you on December 1st.
And Miss
Good
Sanders,
luck.
Miss Sanders, I will say if, I don't know how your appointment's gonna go with legal aid, but if you are able to move out, say, December 10th or 12th or sometime in the middle of the month, I can probably get my client to do a conditional dismissal, which is a form that says we dismiss this case conditioned upon you moving out by whatever date we plug in there. If that's something you're interested in, my phone number is on all the paperwork that was sent to you, and you can reach out to us.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, next, we've got Deer Creek versus Jada Keltz, and we were able to give everybody their rights at once, so that was helpful. Rochelle is here from Deer Creek. This is a different kind of case, Ms. Keltz. They're not necessarily asking you to move, they're asking you to pay the rent. The file number is 231501. At the time of filing, your rent was $3,284.50 in arrears. What's the current status, Mr. Fleeman?
Your Honor, I am looking at $4,892.50 for rent, court cost of $185.27. That gives a total of $5,077.77.
Ms. Keltz, it sounds like you got behind substantially. What's your position here?
I've actually been in contact with Neighborhood Inc. and they've been in contact with Rochelle as well. So they should be getting that paid within the next 2 weeks. I fell behind because of the deposit. Unfortunately, I'm a single mom of 3 kids and I have no help aside from that. So when I fell behind, I was struggling to get caught back up. And once I did reach out to Neighborhood Inc. and actually get the financial help that I needed, I'm completely able to stay on top of my game now. I actually have a better job to where I won't be able to have to fall behind. And my children's father should actually be paying child support here soon. So I shouldn't have any of these issues again. It was just the fact that I got behind and I couldn't by myself get caught back up.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about that. In order to cure this, they have to pay the entire amount. I've been in contact with Neighborhood Inc. There are a couple of problems. One, they don't have very much money. They have 2 different funding sources. One has $25,000 in it and the other has $50,000 or something. They also told me that if the unit is subsidized, they are unable to provide help. So I tend to be skeptical that Deer Creek is gonna come in and pay $5,077. Of course, your rent is gonna be due again on December 1st, so it'll be another 700 and some, 779. It'll be close to $6,000. The only thing that will cure the termination of tenancy is paying the entire amount of money. So during COVID, we had all the CERA, so the acronym for it, money. There was all kinds of federal money out there, and people were getting their rents paid and landlords are being made whole. But the only thing that will cure this is paying the entire amount. So you're ahead of the game. You've contacted Neighborhood Inc., but let's say they give you $3,000. You're still going to be responsible for the rest. Now, if they get what they ask for, I'm going to adjourn this also until December 1st at 2 p.m. You would have 10 days to pay the entire amount of rent or move. So on December 1st, you can add another $779 to that. So that's a lot of money. And I don't know how long it's been. I usually make a note when rent was last paid, but probably about 5 or 6 months behind. So
Well, Judge, let me actually tell you that the looking at the ledger, it looks like most of the payments just barely paid off the security deposit because she made payment arrangement on her security deposit. So the actual rent payment, I don't believe there's been a rent payment since April. She's made payments since April, but those were all still going to that security deposit. So yeah, we're looking, that's how the balance got to be this large. And you're right, that is a really large balance for any agency to pick up without, before we had the federal money. Now we just have state and local money, and that's a big figure.
the other problem is they may determine that you can't afford to live there. And so they may pay your rent through November or December, and then there's a question of whether you'll have enough money in January. I'm not trying to be unkind. I'm trying to share some harsh truths that you may not be able to afford to stay there. And if you get evicted, it may make it difficult or impossible for you to get into other subsidized units. But what they told me last week is that the two programs that they have, if your rent is subsidized, they're unable to assist with the rent. So, Rochelle, is this market rent or is this subsidized?
It's not subsidized, it's considered tax credit. So it's not market or subsidized.
Well, hopefully she's eligible for some help.
Yeah, this is definitely an unusual one, and I'll be curious to see how the various agencies treat this. And this is very common now. This has kind of been the most of the newer developments we've gotten in the last 3 or 4 years have been situated just like this one, where they actually have a MSHDA subsidy as well as a low-income housing tax credit subsidy level going on. It's not the same type of animal as, say, HUD or rural development, but it's a tax credit property, but they use MSHDA rules to manage it. So is it subsidized? I'll be curious to see what the agencies say. It is a different, like I said, different than the old school HUD or rural development subsidy.
Well, we had a Keystone Place, which is our local homeless shelter. They were our HARA, our Housing Advocate Resource Agency, I think it stands for. And they relinquished that, and the new one is Neighborhood Inc. And I just, within the last 10 days, established a relationship with them, called and had a good discussion with them. But they don't have the amount of money or the amount of resources that our others had. So, Ms. Keltz,
Yes.
you're on top of it, and you've contacted them. And maybe your optimism will be borne out. I'm just concerned that A, they won't be able to give you any money, or B, they won't be able to give you enough money. Anyway, we'll address it further on December 1st at 2 o'clock. And you keep your appointment with them. Now, you can get additional continuances if you file the form that you've actually started the process of getting financial assistance. But so you may be eligible for an additional continuance, but if they got what they asked for, you would owe $5,077.77 plus $779 on December 10th, or you'd be subject to being evicted. So we're all interested to see how this plays out. So I'll see you 10 days from now, December 1st at 2:00.
And just to clarify, Ms. Keltz, your rent is actually due on the 1st, so that $779 will kick in on the 1st, even though you get till the 10th to pay it without a late fee. It's technically due on the 1st. So just
That rent is $799, not $779.
Oh, $799. Whoops. Okay.
Oh, that may be on me. I wrote $779, but I'm not sure where I got it. But at any rate, I hope you can get some help. All right, I'll see you then. Mr. Fleeman, I'm going to put you in the breakout room.
Okay.
And Ms. Keltz, you're free to go.
And Judge, relative to the subsidy question, I did want to point out something. The demand for possession in this was a 30-day demand for possession. That's part of what gets these balances so high. And part of the problem with the new court rule is that the demand for possession is served in July, but they have to give 30 days instead of 7 days if a property is in any way associated with HUD. Since MISTA is managing it, they give the 30 days. So what it produces is what we have here. We're at November 20th. We're talking about December 1st on a demand that was served July 7th. So
Yes.
I fear this.
And no rent has been paid since that date. Now, I've been thinking about this. This new rule inherently continues the matter. It takes longer to get to court, and almost inevitably, you're going to be over 2 months. So large institutional landlords and small mom and pop landlords are going to incur more unpaid monthly rent that they're not going to be able to collect. So what this is going to do is raise their rents.
Yes.
Landlords are going to have to increase rent. If someone goes 6 months without paying their rent and they're removed, they're uncollectible to try to collect that $6,000 of unpaid rent. And so the landlords are going to, I can see it. Every case is going to take 4 months instead of 1 or 2. And some could take longer. So I'm not sure it's going to do more harm than good, but we'll see. Ms. Keltz, I wish you luck. Say hi to Latia at Neighborhood Inc. And I've invited her to come in. I'll invite her again on Friday. All right, you're good to go. Thank you. All right, and Tyrone, let me put you in the breakout room, the breakdancing room.
Hey, how'd you know I'm a break dancer? I got
Her and they're probably uncomfortable with one another, so let me put you in there also. And Rochelle, you're good to go.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, we got a lot of hard work to do. Good afternoon, Ms. Salisbury.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
We're about 4 minutes behind, but all things considered, it could be a lot worse. I have someone that's here by telephone only, which is not helpful. Who's on the phone?
Stephanie Webb.
Well, that's yours also. Ms. Webb, do you have a better way to connect?
If I can get my laptop working, I could try it.
Well, one option is what I do is I place you under oath and put you in a private space where you can talk with the attorney about this debt. But
Okay.
Let's call the case right now. This is Omni Community Credit Union versus Stephanie Webb. This is a collection matter. Attorney Stacy Salisbury is here. She and her firm represent Omni Community Credit Union.
Right.
And this is a case that's got some history to it. Those are all yours. It's hot in here.
It's freezing where we're at.
It's, well, that works out good. It's 92 here in the courtroom and 56 in the office. Anyway, a default judgment entered last August in this case, the amount of $7,950.61. You got served with a lawsuit, you didn't respond, and a default judgment entered in that amount. So they're attempting to collect on it. They did try it a previous occasion. Maybe not. Maybe this is our first hearing. And they want to discuss with you your ability to pay on the debt. You got a subpoena, and it says you're supposed to have a number of things with you, including your income tax returns, your driver's license, your social security number, deeds to properties, copies of mortgage, any other things. So that's what Ms. Salisbury wants to question you about, your ability to pay. Now, we used to do all these live, and the people would have to come here to the courthouse and sit down in a room. But in deference to counsel and the defendants, we've been doing them by Zoom. And but she has some questions she wants to ask you regarding your ability to pay on this debt. And I can't put you in a breakout room if you're only here by telephone. Now, if you were here live, I could put you in a space. But let's start. Plus, I can't tell who you are. I don't know if I'm talking to Beyonce or Stephanie Webb.
Right.
I can't see you.
Right.
And as far as I know, Beyonce's never called in here, but maybe sometime. I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand.
Okay.
Wherever you are. Do you swear or affirm any testimony you're about to give in the course of the discovery hearing will be true to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
All right. And you stay right there for a minute.
Okay.
Ms. Renfro, we've got, Ms. Salisbury, we've got another one. We might as well do that one first before we try to release you from the next case. Omni Credit Union versus Amy Renfro. This is a substantial debt of $10,000 plus. Attorney Stacy Salisbury is here. We've made several attempts to get the defendant here for discovery. This is actually a show cause hearing for failing to appear on an earlier discovery order of July 6th. Amy Renfro, as far as I know, still lives on the 4th Street address in Constantine. And Ms. Salisbury, what's your position?
Your Honor, I have not heard from the defendant. She's not reached out to us. We've had no communication. I think we've given her ample time to reach out to try to make some sort of payment arrangement at minimum. So I'd ask the court to authorize a bench warrant so that we can bring her in and get some updated financials from her.
And I say this a lot, we don't have debtor's prison, but you can go to jail for ignoring court orders. Now, when you get served with a lawsuit and you don't answer it, you don't have to answer it, but you automatically lose and a default judgment enters. And that happens a lot. People think ignoring it will make it go away. Well, it doesn't. Now they're in the collection phase. And if you continue to ignore the collection phase, you're in contempt of court. That's what I'm going to do. I find the defendant is in contempt. For fail to appear on the subpoena or show cause. This debt is substantial. I'm going to do a bench warrant. Bond $1,000. I usually use 500, $1,000 cash only. Or see judge. If she posts the bond, we'll schedule a hearing at a regular time. If she does not post the bond, she'll sit until you're available, Miss Salisbury, and we will address it at that time. But as I said, ignoring it hasn't made it go away. As far as I know, she still resides in Constantine. She did as of late 2022. So if anyone knows Amy Renfro, she should be contacting Attorney Salisbury's office. Sergeant Morris is going to come to her and tell her she has to post $1,000 or go to jail. So we'll set that one aside. Now, we'll turn back to Miss Webb. Do you have any of that documentation with you that they asked for?
I do.
All right.
Your Honor,
Stacy, how do you want it? Yes?
what I would propose, if I can confirm this is a good phone number for Miss Webb, I can.
I don't
reach
want
out-
to put it on, I don't want to put it on the net. We'll put your phone number on there. Then people will call you and hire you to do their business. And you'll be inundated with new clients. So Miss Webb, I'm directing you within the next 2 minutes to call Attorney Stacy Salisbury. The file
Okay.
number is 269-388-7600.
388-7600.
Yes, it's the firm Lewis, Reed, and Allen of Kalamazoo.
Okay.
All right, and then you will discuss it further. Now, Miss Salisbury, if you need me, log back in and we'll address what needs to happen next.
Okay.
All right, so you got it? You call that number as soon as you hang up.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
624-7. I was mistaken. It's not 92 in here. I think it's 94. All right, we have one last matter, which has been taken off the docket. LVNV funding versus Vincent Rezas, REZAS. I received an order for bankruptcy stay, and I will sign it, and there will not be any further hearing till that stay is lifted. All right, our next hearing is a show cause hearing at 3 o'clock. And a brief sentencing at 4 o'clock. Tomorrow is pre-exam conferences, arraignments, and then sobriety court in the afternoon. And so we'll be back in the morning if we don't log back in this afternoon. Thank you all.